Hi, my name is Dr. G, the foil printing specialist. In this particular insert, I'm going to explain to you the difference between toner receptive foil printing and hot stamping printing. Now, hot stamping is a process that is commonly used by your commercial printers to print foiled items like invitations, certificates, cosmetic cartons, wine labels, etc., etc. Now, that process is completely different to toner receptive foil printing, because toner receptive foil printing doesn't need industrial equipment, skilled artisans to run the machines, or specialized tooling. This particular process enables you to do foil printing at home and do beautiful quality if you know what to look out for to be able to produce that. Now have a look here. Here we've got a black and white printed image, photocopy or printed image on a laser printer. Now the difference between a laser printer and an inkjet printer is that obviously the laser printer uses toner to get the black image, whereas the inkjet printer uses ink cartridges. Now, laser printers have a cartridge that looks something like this. It's large, and inside it contains powder, which is the toner. If I shake it enough, you'll see there we got some toner that comes out. Now, this toner is what is used during the process of printing or photocopying to give you the black image. Now, with toner receptive foil printing, you have to have toner as your base design, otherwise your foil won't stick to it. The foils that we use are specifically designed to stick to toner. If you were to produce this image here with ink, put foil over it, run it through the foil applicator, when the foil comes out the other side, it will stick to nothing. But if you're doing it on toner and you lay the foil over those images there, run it through the foil applicator, comes out the other side, these areas here will accept the foil and you'll have a beautifully foiled image. Now here's an example. We've done this design or these designs here on black card. There's black card underneath that foil. Now another important thing to point out is that you must use paper and cardboard that is smooth, right? Textured papers and cardboards are not recommended, because what happens is when you put this through your printer, photocopy machine, it puts your design on the surface of this paper. And then what happens is you then lay your special foil over the top of that, you run it through your applicator, which is obviously preheated before you run it through. It will run through the rollers, and during that rolling process there's a little bit of pressure and heat that activates the foil, and that foil then bonds to your black image underneath, and when you peel your foil away you have a stunning foiled result, as you can see there. Now that was just before we finished it with foil. It was just plain black toner printed image. You can see what happens is it actually pulls the foil off the actual sheet and leaves it stuck onto the paper. So that's what toner receptive foil printing is all about. In the next insert, I'm going to explain hot stamping foil and what the difference is between that and toner receptive foil. Right, so earlier we explained how we did this beautiful foiling on some black paper. And obviously that was done straight from a black printed image done on a laser printer using toner. That was copied onto the black board, the foil laid on top through the applicator, and the bonding process under heat and pressure then bonded the foil to the toner, which is your base, and that then peeled the foil away and you're left with that foiled impression. So with toner receptive foil printing, you have to have a toner print image as your base, as your foundation. That is what the foil is going to stick to. Now the difference between toner receptive foiling and normal hot stamping foil, which is used by commercial printers, they don't need a base print to be able to produce the print image that they're going to do. Here what they're going to use is a foiling die. This die is made out of magnesium, it's metal. If you imagine a rubber stamp, this is a metal version of a rubber stamp, because certain areas of this foiling die are higher than the base. So this stands up maybe a millimeter or so higher than the base. They do make other foiling dyes out of brass, out of copper, even sometimes steel, but that's high end and probably overkill for most applications. The average guy that wants to do some foiling can get away using a dye like this. Now the raised surface that you see here is what actually stamps the impression onto your paper, your cardboard, your carton, onto plastics, whatever. This raised area will then press the foil onto the cardboard, and when the dye pulls away and pulls the foil away, you will be left with the raised image only, because that's what makes contact with the paper or the cardboard. Now, the advantage of hot stamping is that you can use textured papers and boards, because this process uses heat, it uses pressure, and it uses dwell. Dwell is the contact time between the heated dye and the actual substrate, the cardboard or the paper. That's the amount of time it needs to release the foil onto the actual carton or letterhead or whatever it is you're doing. So the nice thing about this process is that you can increase your pressure if you need to. So if you do have a grain in it, you can increase your pressure. This die will then press harder against your cardboard or your textured paper, crush the grain, and then give you a really nice solid impression. Whereas with toner receptive foiling, you don't have that ability to increase pressure. You've got two rubber rollers that have a little bit of tension, and that's your pressure, and it runs through. So that's why textured papers are not really recommended for toner receptive foil printing, because there is no real pressure adjustment to be able to do that. The problem with conventional hot stamping is that before you can even start, you need to make a die like this. Before you can print one single impression, you need to make a die. So your costs start building up from minute one. You need a die before you can start. You need specialized equipment, industrial equipment. You need specialized machine minders that know how to set up the machine. So all of these things add to the cost when it comes to hot stamping. Short run foil printing for hot stamping is not practical. To do 20, 50, 100 invitations, it just becomes so expensive that it puts it out of reach. For hot stamping, the process for hot stamping is fine for long runs where you're doing hundreds of thousands or thousands of impressions, which reduces the cost. But for your short runs where somebody wants 20 beautiful invitations, 50 nice letterheads or something like that, then your toner reactive foil printing process, which you can set up with a photocopy and run it at home, that's perfect for that application. So that is the difference. With toner receptive foil printing, you have to have an image for the foil to stick to. With hot stamping, you don't, but you do need a die, and that die there will stamp that image onto whatever it is you're printing. And that's the difference. This is much more expensive process. This is a handy, easy to do at home process, your toner receptive foil printing.